Usually when people give talks and discussions about security, they often will talk about the big attacks that are happening. And we identify these trends at CompTIA all of the time. We see four major types of attacks here. The advanced persistent threat, which is where the attacker lurks very silently in your networks for a long period of time using sophisticated tools. Ransomware, of course, is an issue. We're seeing supply chain issues, not only as societies, but in the security world where trusted resources get turned or attacked and are used to attack the rest of your network. And of course, we're also seeing distributed denial of service attacks. And it's easy for me to talk about various solutions because at CompTIA, we have identified various ways that, for example, DDoS attacks and how they work. You can visit that resource if you want. But it's also easy to fall into certain traps when it comes to security. One of those traps is to engage in fear and uncertainty and doubt, and talk about the types of attacks that are going on and all the different problems. I would rather focus on what I hear about the business opportunities when it comes to cybersecurity. I like to focus on the positive things about the technologies we can use and the positive steps we can take to improve security. So let's talk about those things. Well, first of all, at CompTIA, we conduct extensive research. We have a dedicated research department, and we ask IT professionals, corporate leaders worldwide about the things that are important to them. One of the things I wanted to bring up was the idea that when IT departments are asked to create IT solutions, one of the things that they do is they make sure that they use emerging technology. And one of the things that we found in some of the research that we conducted was that almost half of the people who responded about the use of technology said that they are going to use emerging technologies throughout the year 2023 to improve growth. And these specific technologies included the Internet of Things, the use of the cloud, for example, software as a service and platform as a service, virtual reality, and of course, artificial intelligence. This should not be a surprise to you. Organizations are using these things to stay in business or to offer the solutions that their organization, their government, for example, needs to provide. But the thing I want to point out is that we live in a cloud-first hybrid world. So when we source the solutions that business leaders need to get going, we're going to source them probably first from the cloud, but also from data centers and even in installed solutions. So we live in very much a hybrid world. So whether we use, for example, email, right? Whatever our email is, most businesses have moved a lot of their email to the cloud. We conducted another survey, and you're looking at the survey results here, where we asked what are the cloud applications that are in use? Email, number one. A web presence from e-commerce, for example, was number two. Various business productivity solutions were number three. You get the idea. What I want to point out is that there are so many of these solutions in place. And for example, they could be data lakes. This is a picture of a place that I hiked to in the United Kingdom. Whether it be data lakes or analytics. For example, I was helping an organization a few days ago implement a data lake, implement a data solution. I've done a lot of work consulting with organizations about blockchain, for example. All of these things are sourced in the cloud. But are these things business solutions or are they the attack surface is the question to think about. In other words, are they something that are, well, they're useful services, they keep us in business, or are they things that can be explosive? That's a picture of Mount St. Helens. It's a volcano in the Pacific Northwest. The reason I point this out is we need to know where to start to secure the services that we use every day, whether they be in the cloud, whether they be in data centers, or whether they're in a server room somewhere. Where do we start? Well, I could start by talking about specific elements that I see attacked. Whenever I talk to CISOs, to pen testers, to security analysts around the world and in the United States, of course, they tell me often about the most attacked elements of the cloud. And these include virtual machines, these serverless applications that are used every day, the applications. Storage is a major element that increasingly is attacked because information is what most attackers are going after these days. Whether they're using social engineering, Whether they're finding some sort of security misconfiguration or a buffer overflow, they're going after the stored data. But they're also going after the identity access management consoles. They're going after critical business resources wherever they're found, whether it be in the cloud or elsewhere. But the thing I think is really important to think about are what are some of the solutions? And one of the first solutions I want to focus on, because I was just talking to a few people about this last week, they were talking about the importance of segmenting and micro-segmenting networks. So let me explain what I mean by that. Traditional segmentation has been around for decades, right? Using of virtual LANs, using switches and things like that. Virtual private networks, we all know about this. That focuses on, for example, subnets, and it uses kind of outdated metaphors and ideas like inside and outside the network. I like to think this of certain metaphors. I think all of us have been to baseball games, for example. In the old days, when you got your ticket to a baseball game, you were able to walk into the stadium, and in some cases, you could kind of sit wherever you wanted to. That's not the case anymore. Today, you get a ticket, it gives you your seat. My point with using this metaphor is increasingly networking is moving from that old idea of, well, the network packets are there, to actually segmenting things more and more. And I think I want to use a stronger method, a stronger analogy here.